let's take a retailer. People walk into their store, they use their frequent shopper card, right? And the retailer also has a website. They might or might not be able to buy stuff on the website, depends on if it's a CPG retailer, for example, kind of depends. But the point is, what do you do when you're shopping? You search, and then what are some of the other behaviors that you might engage in?
Price comparison.
Yeah, so you're going to retailer sites, and you're seeing who has the hot sale on the thing you want to buy, right? And, you know, if you want customized information, if, for example, you go to a Stop and Shop and you want customized information, you know, you want it to remember the market basket of stuff you like to buy, that kind of thing, well, enter your frequent shopper number. Well, if you enter your frequent shopper number, now someone like Stop and Shop, and I don't know if they can do this, I don't, you know, work with them or whatever, but just any retailer. Now what you have is the ability to link together web behaviors and offline purchasing behaviors. And as soon as they start interacting with your website, you also can have tags on your website that fire off, you know, a script that writes cookies. So now you can find these people. So for example, if somebody did price comparison or they went to your store locator page, and you want to reinforce that when they come back to Facebook with a display ad, you can do that. So that really is a pretty new thing. And it's something that marketing research needs to take a strong stand on. You have to know the value of doing that. Now today, you can never measure that through marketing mix models. So you're going to miss it if you just rely on marketing mix models. But there are other big data solutions that exist that will help you to measure it. So for example, Facebook has a relationship with a company that has about 70 million frequent shopper profiles by working with different retailers. So if what you want to do is you want to be able to see whether or not your advertising in Facebook delivered that way, in fact had an impact on sales when people did their grocery shopping, you can now do that. That's a capability that just never existed in the Ed Sullivan years, right? So, you know, we need to be thinking very imaginatively and very progressively, you know, about all of this. And you know, in most product categories, it is kind of a zero-sum game, right? It's like market share is not easy to come by because your guys are good and their guys are good also, right? So everybody needs to be great to be able to figure out how to extract market share from a process like this. And so you can't leave, if there are insights to be had here, if there are insights that lead directly to marketing actions or ad serving rules or programmatic buying, you can't leave that on the table. You have to be able to harvest all of this data. So in an era of big data, you know, we need to change the way we think about things from a measurement point of view. Instead of just doing surveys and kind of profiling, you know, our buyers and you know, like looking at what happened and providing report cards, we need to be looking forward. We need to be thinking with a predictive question set. So for example, if you were to, how many of you have ever done any research where you've created like the profile in demographics and attributes, the profile of a brand? How many of you have ever done that? Okay, so about half of you have been involved in that kind of marketing research activity. So I might argue that understanding that is only a piece of the equation. Because what I really care about is something more predictive. What I really care about is where do I find people who might buy my brand, but might not also? How do I target advertising to them using predictive modeling approaches to find lookalikes, to find people who look like my loyal buyers, but who aren't yet my loyal buyers, so I can deliver advertising to them as a virtual audience. I need to be able to do that in a digital age. I need to be able to practice what some refer to as lean marketing. I need to find a way of, and the way you get to lean marketing is through amplification, which is what I talked about before, and precision. And the digital world promises both. So now, if I'm thinking about precision, if I'm thinking about, how do I target advertising to people who have certain lifestyle interests in Facebook that appear to be correlated with those who respond to my advertising, I would want to include that in how I profile brands. I would want to include that, my impact on culture. I would want to include that as another dimension of how I think about what my brand means to people. So I need to be using more than just attributes that are about product performance or something specific and literal to the category. I need to also start using things like the cultural values, the interests that people have that exist in social media as revealed by the brands they like, the comments they make, and behaviors that they engage in. And I need to harvest that for ad targeting purposes. One of the best phrases I think I've heard about this world we live in comes from HP, an HP white paper on big data, where they say in the era of big data, we need to act strategically and execute on data. So if you think about that, what that says, when I unpack that a little bit, what that says is if I'm just focused on ad targeting, if I'm just focused on maximizing, clicks or view-throughs to conversion, or if I'm just focused on like what website is the best one to advertise on without an underlying understanding of why that works that way, that's not very strategic. If, on the other hand, I'm segmenting consumers based upon, traditional methods using marketing research surveys and so on, but then I have no way to find those people in digital space based on those profiling attributes, and so I wind up figuring out what demographics most associate with one segment versus another, and then I wind up buying media in digital based on demographics, shame on me. Because that's not what this era is about. This era is about much more precision in our marketing than that. So what we need to do is we need to rethink segmentation so that the segments are defined almost inherently in a way that serves both purposes, strategic and tactics. So I need to bring in factors about people that come from the kind of digital markers that I can use for ad targeting. The only way to bring that in is through this big data concept of bringing in digital and social information into the machine that exists along with customer data and survey information.